Hi there, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to activate your site if you're using Popsy to run your site with Notion. Now I'm switching from WordPress over to Notion and then using Notion to feed my site into Popsy. So this is the new site that I've been building and working on here. You can see the images are going to load up. I need to fix a few things with the images that I've got, the size of them. I've got CSS things to add. Still got a few things to do. I'm just going to record everything I do on that and publish it live so you can follow along. Here's the current site. This is running off WordPress, and I'm still using WordPress for my landing pages, but the main site is going to run through there and some of the blog stuff. Now, Popsy is a page like builder for Notion. So if you don't know what Notion is, go and check it out. It's a notes-taking app, but you can also use it to publish websites because it's like a database app. Popsy is the front end that makes you style those pages and makes it look better. So if you're not familiar with it, you can go and check it out. Now there's a few others on the market that are still doing this kind of service. You've got Super, which is a brilliant one as well. They allow you to style Notion pages. There's two others which I tested. I don't remember the names of them exactly. I might put them below these video in the description. And then there's Feather Blogs, which is brilliant for building blogging sites. So all these Notion builders, these page builders, they all have their they don't all have the features and some have other little issues. So initially with Super, when I first saw that, I was like, wow, this is amazing. You have to get these templates. They've got a template builder. You build it and you get them working. You then have to know a bit of CSS. There are templates you can buy. So I purchased two templates. I think one of them was called, it was called the Primer theme. I got that one, and I also got another one, and I still couldn't get them looking right. It required CSS coding. I just don't have the time to do that. I don't want to be styling web pages when I can use like WordPress and landing page builders. I know how easy the no-code stuff is. So Super was good. It had some brilliant features in it as well, ones that Popsy doesn't yet have, and also things that Feather doesn't have. So then I found Popsy and I was like, look, that's great. I can build nice looking sites. And then I found Feather, and Feather you can build brilliant sites like blogging type sites, but they don't have the styling design functions that Popsy has right now. Okay, so all these builders, they're all brilliant, but they're all missing features from each other. In some ways you want them all to get together and just create an awesome product. But anyway, so this is Popsy here, which I'm using now for my own site. I'm actually using Feather for another project that I've been building in public. You can go and follow me on Twitter and find that. But this is the site. Let's jump in and see it here. I'm using the paid version of Popsy because it's $9 a month or $12 a month, I think it is. And you get these things like to be able to customize the theme and the style of your design and fonts and things. So it's well worth it if you're using a Notion to manage your sites. So here is my site. Major things you want to think about. If you're going to switch over from WordPress to Popsy, these are the things you really want to consider. So I looked at all this, I started doing it. When I initially done it with Super, Super changed the blogging URL structure. So for my site, for example, if I was going to go to one of my blog posts, the blog is on /blog, but the posts don't have that. They just have / and then the name of the post. So if I click on this one about building ConvertKit here, let's just click on that, let it load up. There you go, just loading, slow. So this, you can see the domain structure at the top here is the site name, my domain name, and then the page name as well. Now when I moved all these over to Super, like I said, they had to change the blog structure. They put /blog in front of them. So that would mean I have to go through the entire pages on my site, all of them, there's 100 and something, I think. I'd have to then either do some kind of page redirect inside Super to get it working, or I'd have to redirect things to other, and it just became quite complicated. And then I found Popsy, and when I uploaded my database to Popsy, so if I bring this over, for example, here is my blog posts inside a Notion database here. So when I imported all of these into Popsy, the URL structure was just exactly the same. So if I click on blog at the top here, and then go to one of the posts, everything was exactly the same. So I instantly was like, well, that saves me a lot of time. And then I started looking at the design features, how you can customize the layout of the design and tweak all the fonts and change the callouts and different styling that they've got here, which I'll cover. But the main things you've got to think about are blog URL structure. Okay, how is your blog structured at the moment? What builder is going to do that and save you time having to restructure them? Now with Feather Blogs, Banu is actually importing people's WordPress sites into Feather. He's doing something manually along the way, I think. When I tried it, I done a Zapier connection, but it pulled in all the HTML code, which wasn't great. But you can, he's doing that with Feather. So with Popsy, I just downloaded my database from WordPress, And then I started looking at all the structures, and then I realized I actually had to get the content. So how I was getting the content was actually going to my phone, opening up my site, saving it to Notion, to a Notion database, and it was pulling all the content down and all the images. So that's how I backed up my entire WordPress site. I manually went to each page. Like, it took me a week or so, just every time I had some spare time, clicked on it and uploaded it, right? So that's how I backed it up, and I've got it all done. But you can do other things with databases. So blog URL structure is the main thing you've got to think about. Then you've got to think about sitemaps. Now, Popsy doesn't support sitemaps yet, which is quite a major feature that a lot of people will want before they even move over. So I've got that issue of figuring that out. You can use HTML sitemaps. So I did run a sitemap, a tool that I found to pull all my pages off my WordPress site, build a sitemap, and you can actually then host that on an HTML version of it, which you can actually still submit to Google for indexing inside of Webmaster Tools, or the Google Console as it's called now. Okay, so that's another thing you've got to think about. The next thing is things like when you import a site into Popsy, like this, for example, what it does, it uses the page name. So, for example, in one of my podcasting pages, you can see when I back them up from my phone to Notion, they had the 10YM9, the number, and they had my name on them as well. So then when I imported those into Popsy, it added those as the URL of the page, okay, which you don't want at all. So I had to go through, so if I go to my site here, for example, I had to go through my database and clean up all of my posts, things like taking the name out, changing the name of any episode titles I had in the blog. The reason doing is because I didn't want these URLs to all have, I need the URLs to be exactly the same. So when I switch over, any traffic that's currently going to those pages still goes to my new Notion site, okay? So that is the main thing you've got to think about when you're doing here. So if we just go to blog, it's not loaded there. Go to blog. So what I've done is I've gone through and fixed all of these manually by, I had 114 posts, I think. It's taking a bit of time to load up there. So that's another thing you've got to think about is you've got to, when these URLs come over, they've got to look the same. And there's still some of them, when I actually imported them over, a good example might be one of my posts about my lead magnets. This one has used, if I click on this one, you'll see the URL that comes across the top. You can see it says 40 lead magnets, ideas for content upgrades, and it's got 10YM, which was my podcast at the time doing this. So I've got to fix that, and you can do it with Popsy. You click on this and you can edit the URLs. There's a couple of them I've got to change and replace and fix this URL structure here. Okay, so I think I've only got 5 of those to do. So that was one of the things you've got to think about. When you name a page inside Notion, it's going to use that name as the URL inside Popsy. If you don't want that, fix all those pages first before you even connect your database to Popsy. Otherwise, you have to go through and fix it. Okay, so do that. Then you've got to think about things like, do you want to have an author link at the bottom of all your blogs? So that's what I've done on mine. I created a little author page, which I started putting onto all the bottom of all my blog posts. Again, I have to manually go through and do that. You can see this here. So I'll show you more about these in the pages. What I've got to come and do is do some CSS styling in other videos, tweak all these. So I'll go over what I've done here with the author pages and the footer menu, which I've created. And that's another feature that Popsy doesn't have. They can build top navigations, but you can't build a footer, which I think Super added to the Super version of Notion. So they created that. But anyway, yes, so let's jump in. This is really just sort of the intro video. There's a few things you've got to check before you go ahead and do this. I would recommend, if you're going to do it, do loads of tests. That's what I've been doing for the last 2 months. So just spare time, play around with it, figure out what was happening with database structures, URLs, pages, and understand the design, what design you want and how you're going to get it to look. I've still got a few pages missing that are from my site. So things on my site here that I've got under resources, like my daily planner and things I have, those need to be moved over as well and built inside the new site. So some of these pages, or I've been making new landing pages for various things where people can still get to them, because there's traffic coming to these pages and I want them active so I can still, give away the freebies that I make and get people on my email list. So that's the intro. I'm going to do the switch over. I'm going to record everything I'm doing. I've got to point the domain over. I've got to do some blog edits. I've got to do the check all the authors have been added to all the pages. And then I'm going to have to Then fix up, yes, the main primary lead magnets that I've got, or the list building stuff that I've got on my home page here, which are things like my 40 lead magnets and my course launch map. So I've got to make sure those pages are done. I've built one of them, I can build the other one. And then fix up some of this home page. I've got to come back and fix these images. Some of these images are too big, so they need to be resized. I remade these, and there's a few things I've got to link up as well, and also write a bit more content about. So I'm going to build this, move it all over, get the site live today, and then it'll be good to go with having a new site online which is powered by Notion, so I can start doing a bit more blogging and posting a few more notes and things like that. So that is the first intro of this little build in public project. I'll be back soon with another video.